Hello and welcome to our biology class. Today's topic is skeletal muscle from the lesson Movement and Locomotion of 11th Biology. You know that we have three types of muscles. They are skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. Today we are going to learn about skeletal muscles. See, what is a skeletal muscle? They are always attached to bones. The movement of bone is possible because of skeletal muscles. So, let's learn more about skeletal muscles. This is the structure showing a skeletal muscle. So, this is a skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscles are made up of many muscle bundles and these bundles are called fascicles. So you can see over here in this picture many muscle bundles or fascicles, and these muscle bundles or fascicles are joined by connective tissue called fascia. Okay, so let's take this muscle bundle. Let's see what is their structure. Each muscle bundle, here you can see the picture of a muscle bundle or fascicle. It has a plasma membrane which is called sarcolemma, and it has a cytoplasm which is called sarcoplasm. It has fascicles have what? They have endoplasmic reticulum which is called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay, and this sarcoplasmic reticulum store calcium ions. Okay, that is about the structure of a vesicle or a muscle bundle. Now, inside this muscle bundle, you can see narrow filaments which are called myofibrils. So, each muscle bundle or fascicle is made up of many myofibrils. So, let's learn about the structure of a myofibril. Okay, this is the structure showing the myofibril. So, in this structure you can see myofibril is made up of alternate light and dark bands. Okay, in this picture you can see the green color bands, they represent the light bands, and the red color ones, the thicker one, they represent the thick bands. Okay, so myofibril is made up of alternate light and dark bands, and these bands are due to two types of proteins. They are actin proteins and myosin proteins. Okay, so let's take the first band, that is light band, this green color bands. Okay, this light bands are made up of a protein called actin. Okay, these bands are also called as isotropic bands or I band. So you can call it as light band or I band, and which is made up of actin proteins. Now you can see over here the second band which is called dark band, the red color ones, red and green color ones. Dark bands, they are made up of a protein called myosin protein, right? And they are also called as A band or anisotropic bands. So we have two types of bands, I band or isotopic band and A band or anisotropic band. Okay, now let's take once again the I band which is made up of actin protein, the green color bands. Okay, in the center of, just take this picture, in the center of this I band you can see an elastic fiber. This is the one. Okay, an elastic fiber which is called as Z line. This elastic fiber is called as Z line. Same way, at the center of dark band or A band which is made up of myosin protein, there is fibrous membrane. There is a fibrous membrane, you can see over here, this, which is called as M line. So we have Z lines and M lines. Now what is the importance of this? See, this is one Z line, right? Z line is what? It is the fibrous elastic membrane which is seen at the I band. So the position between two consecutive Z line, that means this area is the functional unit of muscle contraction, and that is called sarcomere. So the importance of sarcomere is that is the functional unit of muscle contraction. Now how does a skeletal muscle contract? The thin filaments, this green color thin filaments will slide over the thick filaments. You can see over here the thin filaments are sliding the thick filaments, isn't it? So by the overlapping of thin filaments over the thick filaments make the muscles contract. Okay. Now when they contract, here you can see a zone where this overlapping is not taking place. Here you can see clearly the thick filaments only, isn't it? The thin filaments are not overlapping. This area is called as edge zone. The area where the overlapping of thin filaments is not taking place on the thick filament, it is called as a edge zone. So that's it about the structure of a sarcomere. Now let's learn about the two types of proteins that makes this band, actin protein and myosin protein. Okay, let's learn about the structure of actin protein and myosin protein. Okay, this is the picture showing the structure of actin and myosin filaments. Okay, the first picture shows the structure of actin protein. This actin protein is made up of two F-actin proteins. This green color ball-like structures, they are called as the F-actin protein, which in turn are made up of singular units. Each this green color ball-like thing, that's called G-actin or globular actin. So what is the structure of an actin protein? It is made up of two F-actin threads. You can see over here the two green color threads, F-actin proteins. Okay. It also has another protein which is called as tropomyosin. You can see over here there is a thread passing all over the length of F-actin, isn't it? This thread, that is called as the tropomyosin. It is another type of protein present in the actin filament. There is another type of protein which is seen at definite intervals, and that protein is called troponin. You can see over here the troponin here and here, right? Troponin protein. Now what is the duty of this troponin protein? You know, troponin protein, when the muscle is at rest, okay, muscle is not doing any contraction, what happens, you know, the actin filament has a site for the connection or for the linking of myosin, for the binding of myosin. Okay, actin filament has a myosin binding site. So when the muscle fiber is at rest, what happens, you know, this troponin will bind with the myosin binding site of the actin filament when the muscle is at rest. So how muscle contraction and relaxation possible? Because the actin filament and myosin filament will bind. A cross bridge is formed. So actin filament has a myosin binding site. Same way the myosin filament has an actin binding site. So what is the duty of troponin? Troponin will mask the, or it will bind with the myosin binding site of the actin filament when the muscle is at rest. Okay. So that's it about the actin protein. Let's learn about the myosin protein. This purple color structures are the myosin protein. Myosin proteins are made up of individual units called meromyosin. Right? Each meromyosin is the individual unit of myosin protein. Now, myosin protein has a globular head. You can see over here the head region and a short arm. Right? So, the globular head and the short arm of myosin protein is called as heavy meromyosin. All are made up of meromyosin, isn't it? So, the globular head with the short arm area of the myosin is called meromyosin. Okay, and the tail region, this is the tail region, you can see over here the tail regions, isn't it? The tail region is made up of light meromyosin, right? So, these are the heavy meromyosins and light meromyosin. Anyway, a myosin protein has a globular head with a short arm region and a tail region, right? Okay. Now, on the globular head region of the myosin protein, there is an actin binding site. I told you that actin filament, actin protein has myosin binding site. At the same way, the myosin protein has an actin binding site. So, actin and myosin will get bound, and that is how the muscle contract. So, it has a actin binding site, and it also has at the head region another site, ATP binding site. What is the importance of ATP binding site? You know that for muscle contraction what is required? Energy is required, isn't it? So, at the head region there is a ATP binding site also. So, with the help of this ATP, there is a cross bridge form. You can see over here the cross bridge, isn't it? Actin and myosin will bind to each other, and that's how the muscle contraction is possible. Okay, that's all about the structure of skeletal muscles. Thank you.